Doug, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Hey, guys. Normally at this point I'd say I'm doing great. How are you? But in all honesty, I'm not doing great. I think I've pretty much reached my I've had it limit.
Yeah, Doug, I've been there. But, it's funny. I was speaking to some friends the other day about what you're talking about, and I said, God, I'm just so tired of this. I'm so tired of this idiot as our president every single day saying and doing stupid things and putting our country at risk. So anyway, we're going to agree on that, Doug. I know exactly where you're coming from, and I know you and I are not alone. With that being said, we just reached this very somber 200,000 deaths from COVID, and sadly, we knew it was going to come eventually, and it did. And what are your thoughts on that in general? I mean, I don't know if you heard my opening monologue. It's very sad. It's a very sad day for America. And then you have people out there that are saying liberals are, and you're a proud liberal. Liberals, I'm not, but there are people that are saying, oh, liberals are celebrating this.
That's exactly right.
And it's not Donald Trump's fault, and you wanted this to happen. And what do you say to those people?
Well, I think it's another attempt by people who live inside that bubble to absolve Donald Trump from the responsibility he so richly deserves. I mean, anything to take it's what cult members do, anything to take the focus off their dear leader and his miserable failings.
Okay, so JD brings up de Blasio. He brings up mayors. He brings up Governor Cuomo.
Now, do you know why I bring that up, Brian? Because 65% of
just
cases in the United States originated in the state of New York. That's why.
So,
why would I not bring up that under those circumstances?
So, Doug, one thing that JD fails to bring up or fails to bring any attention to is any sort of responsibility or failure on the president's part. So what would you say to JD when it comes to that?
Other than that...
Doug, did you just fart into the phone? Is that what just happened?
No, that was the raspberry.
Was that your retort? Was that an onomatopoeia retort? You decided not to actually say anything? Retort. You just decided to fart? Okay, good.
The second part of the retort is JD does this every week. He goes back to January, February, and March and completely ignores the fact that this is now September. And as recently as 2 days ago in Ohio, Donald Trump was mocking Joe Biden for wearing a mask. He also fails to mention the fact that just a month ago an article was out that said that cases in nursing homes were up in red states like Utah and Texas and Florida. And this is September. But we have to keep going back to February and March because after that it was all Donald Trump. And, the way I look at it, the reason I've reached my I've had it moment, I mean, what kind of a soulless, amoral man would admit on tape on February 7th that he knew this virus was deadlier than the flu, that it affected not just the elderly but the young, and that it was, as he put it, so transmissible you wouldn't believe it, and then lie to the American people for months afterwards. And that's what he did. He didn't downplay it. He lied about it. And not only that, continue to hold super spreader rallies where he's the only one that's protected from the unwashed masses that attend who have to sign waivers in case they get sick. I mean, the fact that he would continue to hold these, not to mention the fact that people would actually attend, I mean, it is just such a damning indictment of what our country has become under Donald Trump.
Did he hold rallies in any states where they had active cases at the time that he held those rallies? Because I don't think that he did.
Every state has active.
No,
cases.
I'm saying at the time.
On Monday, the answer to your question is yes.
I'm talking about super spreader rallies. You're talking about now. I'm talking about back in March, back in February. Did he hold?
He did.
Where?
In fact, in February,
in what state?
One of those rallies was right here in Las Vegas. He held one on March 2nd. I forget where, but yeah, he continued. I don't think
that we had any cases in Las Vegas on March 2nd.
But he's holding rallies now, JD.
Well, of course he is. What's wrong with that?
And more importantly, he held rallies
people
right after
they can make their own decision as to whether attend or social distance or wear a mask or not.
So Doug,
it's all on the American citizen to decide what they want to do.
So Doug, that is
because yes, it is. Yes, it is, Doug. Yes, it is.
One at a time.
Absolutely, Doug. So even if Trump wanted to have a national mask mandate, it couldn't happen.
One at a time.
Every single state is sovereign. I've said this probably 50 times. We have leadership at the local, the state, and the federal level.
And Steve Sisolak did not want.
That's a directive. It's totally different, Brian.
So
now we're conflating directives with laws and mandates with laws.
All right, so hold on.
And you're assuming that Donald Trump can tell every single state what to do. Every single state is sovereign. And what's even more funny is that when he tried to force it, or when he talked about forcing states to open up, that was the Democratic governor's argument, was that every single state is sovereign. And Andrew Cuomo, who apparently we can never bring up on the show because he's a Democrat, and I can't attack Democrats, but you can lay into Trump every single day.
Well, no, you can
combat my segment with your new segment.
But you can't attack Trump for September.
Stop it with your anger and
I'm not
debate
angry
Doug.
at all.
Okay.
How am I angry?
Stop. Okay.
I'm just responding.
Stop taking to an issue that I'm doing a fun segment later on in the show. Stop.
I just think it's odd.
Okay,
Brian,
stop putting
we attack Trump for 2 hours, and then I get 3 minutes to support him, and then you try to attack him again.
We've had this conversation before.
Every day.
Doug is our guest. If you can please stop now.
Okay,
with your whiny rant.
Whiny rant?
Yes, we have Doug Basham on the line. He is our guest. Please don't spread your personal grievances on the radio show.
Come on, man.
No, there's no personal grievance at all,
Okay,
Brian.
so stop talking about how your displeasure for a segment. That's idiotic.
Come
Please
on,
stop
Brian.
doing
You're
that.
getting offended for no
so,
reason.
Doug, no, it's just stupid. You're wasting airtime. Doug, I want to address you now because you're our guest. JD's point is that it is their personal responsibility and they can go to a rally and not practice social distancing if they want to. I can respond to that, Doug, but I want you to. Go ahead.
Well, yes, it is, I suppose, their prerogative, but what JD is missing is that no one is saying that Donald Trump should have implemented a national mask mandate. Donald Trump shouldn't have even been having the coronavirus hearings. They should have been conducted by the CDC, and we should have heard from experts instead of him getting up there and bloviating for an hour, saying about what a great job he's done as bodies were being buried. And, the whole thing is all he would have had to say is that, in fact, as I say, he shouldn't have said anything. The doctors and the scientists should have said, we strongly recommend wearing masks, and Trump should not have contradicted them, and he should have set an example. He should have led by example and done the same thing instead of saying, no, I'm not going to wear one.
Well, had he not gone up there and spoken to the American public, you and a lot of left-wing publications and digital media outlets, and media outlets in general, would have called him a coward. They would have accused him of doing nothing again. So that's a lose-lose situation there. And did Anthony Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx, did they not speak every single day? They did. I mean, yeah, Trump broke down exactly what he was doing, and a lot of it was acquiring ventilators. That was a lot of what he talked about, and a lot of it was acquiring PPE. But Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci, they spoke every single day for 20 minutes. I mean, that doesn't make it. Fauci stopped doing that 2 months into it. But when this all started, and again, let's not forget that Anthony Fauci said himself, everything Trump told Woodward did not mislead the general public, did not mislead him at all.
JD, with
Doug,
all
please
due
don't.
Respect to you and Dr. Fauci, it doesn't matter what Dr. Fauci said.
Of course it does.
Trump
Dr.
on
Fauci
tape admitting that he lied to the American people.
He didn't admit that he lied to the American people. He said that he was downplaying this virus to avoid spreading panic, to avoid saying, hey, everybody's going to die.
Panic is his brand and panic is who he is?
Did you not see what happened with toilet paper? In Las Vegas, you couldn't find toilet paper for 2 months. Do you know why that is? Because people panicked. People were scared. When the lockdown first took place, I was at the grocery store and women were literally running around with their carts, just grabbing as much things as they could. People were freaked out at that time, obviously. But everything Trump told the American public came from Fauci. And Fauci said, and I quote, the first time that I asked Donald Trump and me and Dr. Birx, when I asked Donald Trump to institute any type of mitigation or any type of lockdown or any type of shutdown, he did it without asking. He did it immediately.
Okay, that's fine. But nonetheless, this notion that everything that Trump said came from Dr. Fauci, completely incorrect. Dr. Fauci did not tell him that the 15 cases were going to be down to 0 in a couple of days. And I could rhyme off a whole list of things he said that did not come from Dr. Fauci. And we spoke about this last week. Fauci has been walking on eggshells for months, trying to walk that fine line between delivering the truth and pissing off dear leader.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you.
And by the way, so Trump said that on February 26th. Well, I will say this: on February 29th, Anthony Fauci told the American public that this was not a big enough of a public health risk to change your daily life about. So I'm almost quite certain
And what month is this now?
That what Donald Trump told the American public is what Anthony Fauci and Elon Musk did the exact same thing. A lot of people were saying this. Obviously, people were wrong. Donald Trump was one of them. Anthony Fauci was one of them. And is that a surprise with a virus like this?
That was admitting on February 7th that he knew better.
And 3 weeks after that, Nancy Pelosi, who had access to a lot of information, she was in San Francisco
on February 7th, admitting he knew how deadly it was.
Nancy Pelosi. So
Nancy Pelosi, she got her hair done. Who cares?
Not about her hair done. I'm saying she was in San Francisco on February 26th, 3 weeks after that, talking about how it's not a big deal as well.
Oh, did you say February?
Yeah, February 26th. Yes.
JD, this is September. When are you going to catch up?
We're talking about February, Doug. Why are you bringing up September now? No, you did. You just brought it up.
It's convenient.
No, Doug,
you don't have to address what's happened since and what's happening now.
Where's this conversation going, Doug? You brought up February.
Well, according to you, it's going into the past. Brian and I are trying to keep it present day.
All right, so let me jump in. Let me jump in. Okay, so let me jump in here. Here's what Doug's trying to say, and I totally understand where he's coming from. First of all, we just passed yesterday, and we've talked about it for the first hour of the program, the 200,000 mark of people who have died from this virus. During this time, we just had last week the President of the United States come to Henderson, Nevada, and hold a campaign rally where people were not practicing social distancing, many of them not even wearing masks. He continues to hold campaign rallies. In fact, yesterday did everything he could to avoid even addressing the fact that we have lost 200,000 lives. We are on an uptick now.
Actually, if I can
finish, we are now on an uptick. There are many states across this country that are back in a second wave and on an uptick of this virus. You've heard of a few of them already. We are still in very dangerous times. You have medical experts, scientists, including Dr. Fauci, that say we probably won't even be out of the woods yet until the earliest 2022.
But Brian, he didn't say that in February.
Right, exactly. He didn't say it in February. Yeah, let's talk about the nursing homes.
Why would he? Yeah, why would Fauci say that in February? Because it wasn't that big of a deal at that time.
But we're talking about right now, where the country is right now.
Well, no, we're talking about Donald Trump being responsible. We're talking about Donald Trump being the one that that failed. So no, we're talking about then.
I was just talking about just now.
But I can't talk about then.
I was just talking about just now.
Because
he's holding
I can't say things that support
Doug
my president
Doug,
and my point, but you guys can. Do you see?
Doug,
it is a massive, consistent double standard.
No, it's not. Doug
yes, it is.
Okay,
Brian.
So if I can,
so if I can. And by the way,
he's not going to let me jump.
If this was such a super spreader event in Henderson, then why did Steve Sisolak open up the bars 3 days later? Why are cases still going down as we speak?
Okay, because
he's a fool. Because our economy needs that. Our economy is built on gambling and entertainment and fun and bars.
You will never get a handle on the economy until you get a handle on the virus. Period. End of story. Full stop.
And another part of it, Marilyn Kirkpatrick and several other prominent members of city council and of the county commission, they came to Governor Sisolak and they basically demanded everything open up.
Can I just say this?
So if Trump had this massive super spreader event, that was going to cause all these people to die in case it increase in Las Vegas.
So let me just add something.
Why in the hell would the governor open up bars 3 days later?
Let me add something.
Doesn't make any sense, Brian.
Okay, I'll tell you what doesn't make sense, and I'm going to add to what you just said just now. Comparing a rally with thousands of people not practicing social distancing and not wearing masks to a bar with a few people probably social distancing, having to wear masks is completely and utterly ridiculous. There is no comparison. He had 5,000 people in Henderson.
It was way more than that.
Excuse me. Okay,
let's the line. There was two lines.
If I could finish,
and they were about a mile and a half long each.
So you're bragging about the numbers.
I'm saying Donald Trump is going to win the election. It's not going to be close.
So Doug,
we both know it.
So Doug, let me address you right now. And by the way, I completely disagree with you, JD. But
that's fine. You're more than welcome to.
Let me address you now, Doug. JD is comparing some bars where, by the way, you're forced to wear a mask and social distance to over, as JD just admitted to and gloated about, over 5,000 people that are not practicing social distancing and not wearing masks at the directive of the President of the United States, who's not forcing people to social distance. Do you think that's a fair comparison, Doug?
Of course it isn't, but that's what cult members do.
JD, I think he's calling you a cult member.
Okay, great.
Would you like to respond
No,
to that?
I mean, I'm not interested in someone calling me a cult member because their argument is weak.
Okay, well,
I'm
I think
I'm
you're a
good
cult
on that,
member.
Brian.
The
Okay,
argument
fine, that's
is
fine.
weak. You were just bragging
Extremely
about
weak.
how many people attended
Extremely
the super
weak.
spreader rally.
No, what I'm saying, how if it was a super spreader rally, then again, why would he open bars up 3 days later? Why would that take place? Why
What has one got to do with the other?
Why haven't cases exploded in Nevada since that took place? Because they're actually on their way down. Same with Sturgis. Why haven't cases exploded in South Dakota since then? Because these aren't super spreader rallies.
Actually, they have.
Actually,
South
they
Dakota
haven't.
has the second highest positivity testing rate in the country.
There you go. I think that is probably a super spreader. I believe Doug is telling the truth. Doug just said it himself. The second highest right now in the country. So your argument is not, I'm sorry, it's not valid. I believe Doug is probably telling the truth. I'm just trying to understand how you can correlate a bar where people are practicing social distancing and are forced to wear masks, and there are people from OSHA that are going into these bars making sure that they're abiding by the rules, to a campaign rally where there's 10,000 people, 5,000 people, 10,000 people not practicing social distancing. How could you compare the two? It's insane.
Well, in all fairness to JD, I don't think he's correlating them. I think he's deflecting, as always, to absolve Donald Trump from the blame he justly deserves.
There needs to be no blame here. Again, people didn't have to show up to that rally. They didn't have to show up. They could have
You're
worn.
absolving him from blame.
They could have worn masks if they wanted to.
He didn't have to have it. He's the president of the United States. You say, well, they didn't have to go.
You're taking all the blame.
Of course they did. That's what cult members do.
You're taking all the blame off those who decided to voluntarily go to the event and not wear a mask, and you're putting it on the president.
No, I'm not taking all the blame off of them at all. I think
it's
they're
a
all
very
idiots.
it's a very consistent victim mentality that the left has, Doug. That's what it is.
Victim mentality.
Yes, it is a victim mentality.
You're
saying that all these
nobody's been treated as unfairly as me, not even Abraham Lincoln.
I mean, Donald Trump has been viciously attacked by the media. I mean, come
and
on,
rightly
Doug.
so.
That's what you do. That's what Brian does. We just attack Donald Trump constantly.
We've ever had.
No other president's been attacked like this.
Okay, so hold on a second.
It's been a consistent new article coming out every single week trying to disparage him. He's proven to be impervious to it. The polls are showing exactly that. People are tired of it. People are fed up of it. People want to hear about Joe Biden, not just Donald Trump. And a lot of publications, a lot of media outlets don't give them that.
Okay, so hold on a second. Let me
jump.
Okay, so I know to you it's very clear.
It is very clear.
So let me chime in. So let me chime in here real quickly. You mean to tell me, JD, that you're not putting any responsibility? And I agree with Doug. I agree with what Doug just said. That yes, I would also put responsibility on the idiots that are not practicing social distancing that are going to these rallies. But with that being said, you mean to tell me that you don't think we should put any responsibility on the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, who is holding campaign rallies and seems to be totally okay with thousands of his supporters not practicing social distancing, not wearing masks? Is that what you're saying?
Again, Brian, they sign a waiver.
That's not what I asked you.
Every single one of them does.
That's not what I asked you.
Every single person, when they sign up online, they sign a waiver.
That's not what I asked you.
And they choose whether to wear a mask or not. They are American citizens. They have the right.
That's not what I asked.
They have the right to choose.
I didn't ask you that.
And the
You're assuming that President Trump is forcing these people to do that. These people
to hold rallies when he knows, and he knew back in February how deadly and easily transmissible this virus was. That is unforgivable, and it is equally unforgivable to defend him.
I agree. And what Doug just said, I agree with as well. It is the duty of the President of the United States for our safety. And when he holds these rallies, he knows that there's going to be a lot of idiots that are going to show up to his rallies that are not going to practice social distancing.
He knows he has a lot of support.
Idiots like Herman Cain.
Okay? And they sign COVID waivers. And Brian, you don't know that you don't know that Herman Cain died of that. You have no idea. Herman Cain was sick for quite some time.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doug. What'd you say?
I said, what does that tell you, that he makes his cult members sign waivers saying that they won't sue him or his campaign if they get sick? He's admitting that he knows it's deadly, and he's putting them all together anyway.
It's a valid
point. Because he knows they will attend. No, they don't have to, but he knows they will, and his ego needs them to attend. So he is putting his massive yet fragile ego before the health of his own supporters, and they continue to support him, and they deserve exactly what they get.
The only issue with that, Doug, is that they deserve what they get, but it's us. We are the ones that suffer because they can spread the virus to people like you and me.
Exactly.
And that is where my issue is,
Brian,
Doug.
The CDC backed that 2 or 3 days. They backed that entire statement up 2 days ago. They took it back, and they said that the chance of asymptomatic transmission on an airborne within with an airborne is not going to take place. They
With
took
no
that
social
back.
distancing?
Hold
I'm
it.
saying
hold
they took
it.
that back
The
2 or 3 days
CDC
ago.
actually went back to being the CDC last Friday and said that it was airborne, which we already knew, but that the 6 feet might not be enough. Trump pulled that the first thing after somebody reported on it. How can you defend that? He has corrupted and poisoned every institution necessary for this democratic republic survival in order to help his reelection chances and his ego. How can you defend that?
Well, I think he's asking you, JD, not me.
I'm really tired of this conversation, to be honest with you, Brian.
Of course you are, because it's uncomfortable and it's forcing you to live in the real world.
No, it's just ridiculous. You've interrupted me 5 times.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, you have. You absolutely have.
That's not true.
Brian just sits there and just like looks at me like, wow, what a great point by Doug the entire time. It's kind of ridiculous. That being said, you're saying that Donald Trump actually took back what the CDC deleted 2 or 3 days ago when they said that this virus is not transmitted through asymptomatic.
Stories break every day about how pressure was applied to the CDC to change their guidelines.
No comment to that, JD?
I was not aware that Donald Trump applied pressure to the CDC to change their guidelines.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
And you won't hear that inside the bubble because that's not what they're paid to do. They're paid to defend Donald Trump and absolve him from responsibility.
What Doug is referring to, they even reported on that on Fox News. I heard that story on Fox News. It wasn't just CNN or MSNBC where Doug is getting that information from. There are actually right-wing publications, including Fox News, where I heard that there were members from the CDC and they actually had people that did not want to disclose their names from officials, prominent officials that said exactly what Doug is referring to, that they were pressured by members of the Donald Trump administration.
Well, it looks to me like they said that this was an error on the part of our agency, and I apologize on behalf of the CDC. That's from John Brooks, CMO for the CDC's COVID-19 emergency response. We weren't ready to put it up, and that was in response to reversing its stance on whether the coronavirus is airborne days after it warned that the virus spreads most commonly through the air and is more contagious than the agency had previously suggested. So they took all that back, but apparently that doesn't make a difference because Donald Trump, quote unquote, pressured people.
That's right.
Okay, that makes sense, Doug.
He did. He did. I mean, those are the reports that are out there. If you don't want to believe it, that's fine.
I don't believe it. Just like I don't believe. Just like
Trump leaned on us.
I believe that the guidelines were changed to suppress the economy. I believe that guidelines were changed to make Donald Trump look significantly worse than he was. I believe that wholeheartedly. Have you seen what's been going on?
Trump?
What's that, Doug?
You believe that the CDC is now part of this giant global conspiracy designed to do nothing but make Donald Trump look bad?
No, I'm saying, why would they take that back?
Because Trump forced them to.
You actually believe that?
I know that.
And Brian believes that as well, that this CDC,
JD,
that this article,
that
taking back the fact that this is airborne was Donald Trump put them up to it. He put a gun to their head, more or less, and he said, hey, you have to do this. You actually think that?
That's exactly right.
Oh, okay, great.
All right, well, we'll end it there. Doug, I find it interesting that all the president has to do is give you a waiver. So I guess
that's exactly right.
A prostitute will have sex with you, but she'll give you a waiver. So in case you get an STD, you can't sue her. So I guess that makes things all better. Doug, I appreciate you coming on as always, my man. I look forward to your show Saturday, 2 to 4 p.m. I know you'll have plenty to talk about. I love all the audio that you share on your show and some great callers as well. So, Doug, appreciate it when you come on as always. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Doug.
Always my pleasure, guys. You take care. Stay safe.
Yes, you too. You too. That is the key word, ladies and gentlemen. We all need to stay safe. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. We'll take some phone calls.